So for example, money has been decorated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or our children, or everything else which is mentioned in this holy verse. But the way that you use them, the way you approach them, that's what the shaitan does to you. That's because there's nothing wrong about these entities. Is there something bad about these entities? About children? Are children bad? Of course not. Children are the joys of our lives. They bring so much delight and happiness to our lives. They are not bad. Money is not bad. Power is not bad in itself. It just depends on how you use it. If you use it properly, it becomes good. The use of it becomes good. But if you abuse it, you use it the wrong way, then your usage of it, your action will be a bad action. One reason why the Imams ﷺ never sin, they're infallible. One reason is because they see the ugliness of sins. There are certain actions you would never do in public, in front of other people. Never. Why? Because you know it's an ugly act. It's not appropriate. The Imam ﷺ, even when it comes to the smallest of all sins, the Imam sees the ugliness of it. Therefore he stays away from it. Has it even occurred to you in your mind to go to a trash can and dig the trash can to find a piece of food? You've never done that, I guarantee you. And probably you have never even thought of that. Unless someone is starving, of course. But the average person would never attempt such an act. In fact, the average person would never even think of such an act. Why? Because we see the ugliness of such an action. It's an inappropriate action. It's a dirty action. The Imam ﷺ always sees the ugliness of every sin. Therefore, the Imam doesn't even think of committing a sin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decorated these entities for us. And they're good in themselves. There's nothing bad about them. It just depends on your approach and how you use them. In this verse, Surah Al-Kahf, ayah number 7, Allah states, إِنَّا جَعَلْنَا مَا عَلَى الْأَرْضِ زِينَةً لَهُمْ. Why has Allah decorated these entities? لِنَبْلُوَهُمْ أَيُّهُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. So that we test humanity, to see who is the one who comes with the good actions and the one who comes with the evil actions. It's all a test, part of the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to test us human beings. Now let's look at the first entity, the first thing which the Holy Quran tells us about. When it says that there are certain things which have been made as temptations for us. They have been decorated for us. The first one states, زُيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ حُبُّ الشَّهَوَاتِ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ. That's the number one thing the Quran mentions over there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made women to be attractive for us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has adorned them in their creation, as this holy verse states. This is the reason why our society needs chastity and purity, because of this verse. Because of the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us human beings. The example that the Quran tells us about when it comes to chastity and purity is Maryam alayhi salam. وَمَرْيَمَ ابْنَةَ عِمْرَانَ الَّتِي أَحْصَنَتْ فَرْجَهَا فَنَفَخْنَا فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِنَا. And remember Maryam, the daughter of Imran, who protected herself, who protected her chastity. Therefore we blew into her from our spirit. وَصَدَّقَتْ بِكَلِمَاتِ رَبِّهَا وَكُتُبِهِ وَكَانَتْ مِنَ الْقَانِتِينَ. Maryam alayhi salam in her society was the symbol of purity and chastity. After demonstrating how pure she was, and after passing the test that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave her, Allah gave her 3 rewards. Allah rewarded her 3 ways. The first, He gave her Isa alayhi salam. The Quran says she protected herself, therefore we blew into her. Which is an expression to say that we gave her Isa alayhi salam. And that was a great gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He gave her, He made her son to be amongst the greatest prophets of God. That's the first reward she got for being pure and chaste. The second reward, وَصَدَّقَتْ بِكَلِمَاتِ رَبِّهَا وَكُتُبِهِ. The second reward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave Maryam, He gave her a strong belief. He gave her a powerful faith, such that she believed in the books of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and in the words of the Almighty Allah. The third reward, after giving her the inner beauty, which is the power of faith, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave her the success and the reward of practicing her faith. وَكَانَتْ مِنَ الْقَانِتِينَ. And she was amongst those who would raise their hands in prayer. She was practicing her faith. Because of her purity and chastity, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave her Prophet Isa, then He gave her a powerful belief, and finally Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed her to practice her faith the best way possible. These are 3 rewards she received from being pure and chaste. She's an example for all of us in society to learn from. Through purity and chastity, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala truly will show us success. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will allow our societies to be healthy. One reason today we've got so many social problems is because we have abandoned this duty of purifying ourselves and protecting our chastity. That's why our societies are suffering these days from so many types of problems. Family problems, social problems, individual problems. Most of them go back to this important point: purity and chastity. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the religion of Islam wants us to protect our inner faith and our outer faith as well. This is where the role of hijab comes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prescribed the hijab for us in order to protect us. For men and women. Don't think that hijab is limited for the sisters only. Absolutely not. The hijab is a state which is very sanctified. It's a sacred state which allows you to behave properly. It is a state which really demonstrates to you that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching you 24/7. The Imam alayhi salam is watching your actions every single moment. This is what the hijab means. But since we are different, Allah has created females different than males in their physical form, therefore the hijab is also different. Allah gave us all the hijab which is appropriate to us. But the hijab is very important. I always get this objection from the sisters, for example. They say, as long as I have the good heart, I've got the good iman, I've got the good faith, that's enough for me. I've done my job. Who cares now if I wear the hijab or not? I'm a good person, I'm a good human being, and I have the faith in God in my heart. Or oftentimes I also get this objection. I have the good faith, why do I need to pray or fast or do anything else? I'll just come to the masjid once a year and do a few things and I'll be fine. I'm a good person throughout the year. I don't need any of those. This is a major misconception, my respected brothers and sisters, that exists in all of our societies. True, I agree with you. The inner counts. In fact, it is more important. Because at the end of the day, it's the intentions that count. But you have forgotten something. do you know that the inner side of you is protected? How do you know that the belief system you have is the correct and complete one? Isn't it the outer that tells you what's inside? Honestly, if I give you a basket of oranges, these beautiful oranges, and next to it I give you another basket, I give you an orange that has rotten from the outside.